Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? This is Coach Paul. God has qualified me, and I'm bringing to y'all another one of these Move Monday episodes. Now, before I get off into what we're going to be talking about today, I want to first say it's definitely an honor, a privilege, and a blessing to have this opportunity to be able to put together content and very important content, right? As it relates to where we want our lives to be, how we want our lives to look. Excuse me. Whether it's in mediocrity, walking into greatness, or walking into greatness that's within each and every one of us, and the extraordinary potential that's within each and every one of us. Because like I said before in one of the other episodes, the Bible teaches us that God blew the breath of life in us and we became a living being. So if God put some of him in us and he's greatness, that means that we have some greatness in us as well. And so we have to stop settling. We have to stop anchoring ourselves to mediocrity, right? Because we weren't created to be ordinary. We were created to be extraordinary. Because after all, think about it. When we were any of us who are listening to this podcast, when you think about your life, when you were doing things that weren't adding to the value of your life or adding to the greatness of your life, you weren't doing it from a mediocrity standpoint or a mediocre standpoint. You were top of the line, right? Many of us, if not all of us, top of the line, we went all out. We did what it took, right? And so I'm saying that to say this, if we was doing it for that, how come we can't do it for the greatness that's within each and every one of us? How can we can't turn this thing around for our greatness, for our extraordinary potential? Because after all, every last one of us, we're going to leave a legacy. Every last one of us, our life is telling a story. Every one of us, somebody is looking at us to follow after us. So if somebody is coming behind us or we are looking to leave a legacy, how come we can't allow that legacy to, why don't we? Let me say it like that. Why don't we allow that legacy, right? Or that look that we are to be as great as it can possibly be, right? So that we can leave this world better than what it was before and when we were here. That's what this is all about. Moving in your greatness, kicking the butt out so that you can walk in the extraordinary potential that's within you. So I'm honored and privileged to be able to do this because I have to say it, like y'all know part of my testimony, if not all of it, my life was a mess. I didn't believe, well, I'll put it to you like this. 15 years ago or so, you couldn't have told me that this is what I would be doing. I knew I wanted to be doing something else other than what I was doing. I just didn't know what it was, right? And I didn't know that I would ever get to a place like this. And so again, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do these episodes and do these podcasts and pour out this content that is designed to add value to our lives. I can't say hallelujah to God enough for not giving up on me and using me to do what it is that I do. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for liking. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate every last one of y'all. And I'm praying, my prayer is that whatever seeds, not some, whatever seed that is being planted, if that seed is yours, that God would water it and give the increase. That's what this is all about. All right, y'all. So let me get off into what I'm going to be talking about today. And again, this is about walking in our greatness and extraordinary potential, or walking in ordinary potential. So like I always say at the beginning of these episodes, and this is so true, I want you all to hear this. Watch this. If you don't move it, whatever that it is, if it's your thought process, if it's people, if it's places, if it's things, if it's ideas, if it's your heart, your spirit, if you don't move it, it is 100% going to move you. I can't make it no more plain than that. Watch this. And it's not only going to move you, it's going to move you to a place where you are looking up at someone else's greatness instead of your own. Let me say that again. I got to make sure that I say that again. If you don't move it, it's going to move you. And it's going to move you to a place where you are looking up at someone else's greatness instead of your own. And listen, some people don't mind you doing that. Some people don't mind you walking in their greatness or elevating their greatness at your expense, or while you sit by and watch. And more often than not, some of the people who are walking in their greatness and watching you, they're watching you and hoping that you don't wake up and start moving stuff, because it's amazing how lots of people in our lives or who have crossed paths with us know more about the potential, right? The extraordinary potential and the greatness that's within us than we do about our own selves. Other people know more of the greatness that's within us and the extraordinary potential that's within us than we know about our own selves. Somebody, Les Brown, said it like this. He said, and I don't know if he quoted it from someone else. He said, but borrow someone else's belief in you until you can get your own. And that's amazing to me, that someone else will have a stronger belief in you than you have in yourself. How do I know? How do I know this has happened to me? Again, I remember when I first started this journey and this path that I'm on, that a brother had told me, like, it's more to you than what it is that you're doing. It's good that you're doing what you're doing, Paul, but it's more to you than that. And it caught my attention. It grabbed my attention. And I literally stopped what I was doing, and I sat up and I focused my attention and capacities on what he was saying. I said, listen, talk to me about, elaborate more on what it is that you are saying to me. And, after that conversation that we had, I started to follow my dream. I started to move into the greatness that was within me, the greatness and the extraordinary potential that was within me that I didn't even know that I had. Or watch this, I knew that I had at some point, but I was so busy not walking in it that I thought it was gone. And in some cases, many of us is glad that we think that it's not. Watch this. Many of us are glad that we think that it's gone, so that we don't have to take care of the responsibility, right, of doing it. How do I know? How do I know? And the thing about it, like I was saying, we'll watch someone else walking in their greatness and won't even follow our own. We'll go all out in many cases to watch somebody or to assist them walking in their greatness before we even invest in our own. Because somebody said it like this: the greatest investment that you'll ever do is the one that you do in yourself. And many of us, we are so busy. Listen, you don't have to ask twice for us to invest in someone else before we invest in ourselves. And I'll prove it. It's many people, entertainers, merchants, people who sell apparel and clothes. It's many of these people who will spend money after money after money entertaining ourselves with their product, whatever that product may be, right? And again, we won't even invest in ourselves. That's what, like I said at the beginning, if we don't move it, we'll put ourselves in a place and in a position where we are looking at someone else walking in their greatness instead of our own. And we do it so good and so often to a place where we don't even see it. But I'm here to tell you, if there's a pair of shoes that cost $1,200 and you out of shape, if there's a pair of shoes that costs $1,200 and your bank account says $300 minus, yeah, you watching someone else walk in their greatness instead of your own. And that just don't make sense anymore. It should not make sense to you anymore, to a point where you stop doing that. Now, again, if you got the money to do it, that's fine. But so many of us do these things and we can't afford it in no way, shape, form, or fashion. We can't afford it in many ways. But we'll go get it. There's the but. But we'll go get it. And more often than not, it's adding to someone else's greatness and not our own. Put it to you like this. They said if you don't follow your dreams, you'll spend your life working for someone or assisting someone in following theirs. Let me tell you a story about a guy that I had the honor and the privilege of having a conversation with, and the way that we met and the way that we started to have conversation had nothing to do with the way that this conversation went. We didn't even meet in that capacity. However, here was a conversation that came up and it made me think. Watch this. This guy said, so let me lay the foundation on this. Let me lay the foundation. This guy has his own business, and it's a successful business. He has a business as a commercial and residential, commercial, and industrial garage door repair service. This is the business that he has. And again, it's a successful business. Now, before that, he was working for a company. In this company, he had a position where he trained other people. When they brought new people on, he was the guy to train them and give them the information and the education in how to be able to be good and great at putting the work in to repair people's doors, garage doors, and even install them. He created an awesome team of guys, right, in terms of how he trained them and showed them the ropes. Now, when the pandemic came, unfortunately, everything closed down. The company ended up laying him off. I don't know if it went under, but it laid him off. It was one of those layoffs that it was not a chance of coming back. So now we got this guy that's great at doing what he do. He's unemployed. And what happened was some of the guys, watch this, this is so cold and important. Some of the guys that he had trained that was laid off as well went on to start their own companies. And they were hiring him on for side jobs. They were hiring him on for side jobs. So he was doing side jobs for some of the people that he trained when they were working for the company that he was working for. Talking about if you don't move something, you're going to watch somebody else walking into their greatness instead of your own. So he said one day his daughter had come to him. And sometimes it takes for somebody to come and say, hold on, wait a minute. This picture not looking right. He said his daughter came to him and said, hey, Dad, wait a minute. Why are you spending all of your time helping them build on their companies, make all of these millions of dollars when you could be doing it on your own? And I'm saying that to somebody within the sound of my voice. I said it once before. If you're working for somebody and they're following their dreams, let's think about this. If you're working for somebody who has a company and they're following their dreams, and they're paying you $500,000 annually, you got to know that you are valuable to that company and they're making a whole lot more than what they're paying you. Talk about somebody watching someone else following their greatness or walking their greatness or follow their dreams at the expense of your own. So if I'm that valuable where you're paying me all of this money, again, like I said, that means that you're making gobs or more money than I'm making. And if I could do that for you, how come I can't do it for myself? If you don't move it, it's going to move you to a place where you're looking up at someone else walking in their greatness instead of your own. If you don't follow your dreams, if you don't move the mindset or whatever it is that you need to move out of your way and start to follow your dreams, you'll spend your life working for someone else who's following theirs. And again, many of us help someone. Now, watch this. There's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with helping someone follow their dreams. I am never saying to be selfish, think about your own stuff, forget everybody else. That's not what Coach Paul is saying. That is not what he's saying. However, in some of these cases, if I'm helping you follow your dreams, I have to have a mindset that it's a stepping stone for me. It's a part of the journey. It's a part of the path to which I'm going in terms of following mine. So yes, I've always been one of those type of guys. I'll assist you 100%. I'll assist you, but I won't make it at the expense of me not doing my thing as well. I've learned that. And like I said, some people out there, unfortunately, are glad that you are not following your dreams. They're glad that you are continuously helping them at the expense of yours. They're glad that you're doing it. One of my fellow domino players used to say, if you could trick them, you could beat them. If you can trick them, you can beat them. And many of us out there who are not walking in our greatness or the extraordinary potential that's within each and every one of us, somebody tricking us and they beating us. And we're spending our lives working for them at our own expense, 100%. And we have to, now watch this. We are being tricked and beat because we are positioning ourselves to be tricked and beat by other people who are walking in their greatness. Now watch this. If I really believe that there's greatness and extraordinary potential in me, I'm not going to use you to build mine. I'm not going to use you to add to mine. Because a person who's really walking in their greatness or their extraordinary potential has a selfless heart in many cases, not a selfish heart. So again, if someone is allowing you to live a mediocre life at the expense of walking in their greatness or their potential. They really don't have it like you have it. Because like I said, real greatness and extraordinary potential is selfless more than anything. Now, don't get me wrong. It's almost like recovery. Recovery talks about it's a selfless program, yet it's a selfish program. Now let me explain this. It's a selfless program from a place of I'm willing to help and give as well. Because they say in order for you to keep what you have, you got to give it away. That's what becomes selfless. It's not all about me. It's about me being able to help someone else. That's one of the reasons why I do these podcasts or these episodes, because I want to continue to remain selfless, right? And be able to give as I've been given. Now, here's where it has to be selfish at. Watch this. It has to be selfish from a standpoint or a place of if helping you is tearing me down, or being around you is tearing me down, I got to think about me more than I think about you. That's the difference. That's how it works. And so because in some areas we have to be selfish to preserve ourselves. Again, I'm not saying forget everybody else. Never will I say that, because one of the reasons why I'm where I'm at, one of the reasons I'm where I am is because many people whose paths that I crossed over these years were there for me. They were selfless when it came to me. 100%. They were selfless when it came to me. And I need to pay this thing forward. I'm incomplete in my greatness and extraordinary potential if I'm not sharing it. 100% incomplete. So, again, part of walking in your greatness and extraordinary potential, part of it means that you're going to have to be selfless, and in some cases, you're going to have to be selfish. Now, what do you need to move? That's where you have to become selfish. Who do you need to move? That's where you're going to have to become selfish. Where do you need to move? That's where you're going to have to become selfish. And again, I'm not saying walk over nobody, walk on nobody, hurt nobody, because blood money ain't good money. Blood greatness ain't good greatness. Blood extraordinary potential ain't good extraordinary potential. It's not good at all. So we don't do this at the expense of somebody else's demise, blood, or whatever the case may be. We don't do it like that. So, like I said, think about this, y'all. If you can trick them, you can beat them. And it brings me to what one of the quotes that I love that the Wall Street Trapper uses. He says it like this: if you give them the power to feed you, you will give them the power to starve you. And many of us are allowing ourselves to be tricked into being fed by somebody when we got the ability to feed ourselves. When there's avenues, open doors, open windows, opportunities for us to feed ourselves, we're so comfortable and okay with someone else is feeding us or depending on someone else. And right when it's time for them to starve us, they do more often than not. And we end up sitting around looking crazy because we have given them the power to feed us. Listen, the greatness in you says that you have the power to feed yourself. Now got to take it back. Yeah, and it's just like a kid. A kid, when a baby is born, yes, it has to be fed, right? It has to be fed because it doesn't know how to feed itself yet. But when it gets to when that child gets to a certain age, I remember my kids, when they got to a certain age, it was times where they took the spoon from me and started feeding themselves. Wow, that was a revelation. That's a message. It was times when my kids, when they got to a certain age, it was like, I can do this. We need to have that same mindset. We need to take the spoon and start feeding ourselves. We need to take the fork and start feeding ourselves and stop allowing people to feed us. That, watch this, when the opportunity presents itself, they're going to starve us. They're going to starve our greatness. They're going to starve our extraordinary potential. They'll starve our growth. They'll starve everything that lifts us to the next level or betters the quality of our lives. They'll do it 100%. Because watch this. Watch this. If you have someone in your life, watch this. You got to pay attention to this one. If you have someone in your life that all they want to do is feed you, they're going to starve you. You have someone in your life that don't want to teach you how to feed yourself. At some point, they're preparing to starve you. It's going to cost you. So we have to surround ourselves with a mindset and a circle of people who are, hey, listen, let me give me the spoon. I'll feed myself. Or, hey, can you teach me how to feed myself? Right? We have to surround ourselves with a mindset and a circle of people who live by that rule. Because like I said before, if you're around somebody that all they want to do is hold a spoon, they're going to starve you at some point, 100%. And many of you out there who are listening to this episode of Move Mondays know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes, some of y'all out there, you the person who holding the spoon. And some of y'all out there, you are the person who allowing them to hold the spoon. If you give them the power to feed you, you're giving them the power to starve you. We have to learn how to feed ourselves. And what that means is, how we going to learn? The way we're going to learn how to feed ourselves is when we start moving some stuff out of our way, moving some stuff out of our mindset, kicking some of these butts out. Yep, but I know, but I could, but I should, but you right, but I would, but I heard somebody say that his mother had said to him, people like us don't go to those places. People like us don't do those opportunities. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. You have to get out of that mindset. You have to move that mindset. Because watch this. My mother always taught us that don't walk around acting like you better than somebody else or better than other people. Watch this. Also, don't walk around like other people are better than you. Because we were all created equal. So if you have the potential and the opportunity and the greatness to do X, Y, Z, more power to you. How can I assist you? But I'm going to do my greatness and extraordinary potential from my ABC standpoint as well. That's just who Paul is. That's just who Coach Paul was created to be. I'm never going to change that. Never going to change that. So again, people, if you're giving them the power to feed you, you're giving them the power to starve you. So learn how to take the spoon. Give me the spoon. Again, if you're not teaching me how to feed myself, you're teaching me how to starve myself. 100%. And I'll move on. But it's a quote that my dad had told my mother. But and many of you all may know this quote. It says, if you feed a person a fish, you'll have to feed them again and again and again. But if you teach them how to fish, they'll learn how to feed themselves. That's what we got to do, y'all. 100%. 100%. So I'm going to get ready to land the plane with a question that I love to use. I love to use. I love this movie for that part, if not for a lot of parts in the movie. That part stuck with me many years, even to this very day. Okay, it's the movie The Untouchables. Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, Robert De Niro. They were the stars in this movie, among many others, right? So Robert De Niro played Al Capone. Many of you all know who Al Capone is. He was a gangster in Chicago in the Prohibition days, big time gangster, whatever. Kevin Costner was the police officer named Elliot Ness that was his everything about him was focused on, I got to get this guy off the street. So he was the officer that was looking to get him arrested for doing all the stuff that he was doing. It was, illegal alcohol, murder, extortion, tax evasion, you name it. It was so many things that he wanted to get him for, and he was doing it by the book. Failing at every opportunity. He was failing at every opportunity. Couldn't get this guy. Well, Sean Connery was an older police officer that had partnered with him, that knew the streets way before he had came, knew the corruption in Chicago, you name it. He knew all of this. But anyway, let me get to the point. After continued failed attempts at getting Al Capone, one of Kevin Costner's officers had gotten killed. And Kevin Costner blew his top. He was just like, oh my God, this guy just keep on slipping by. And Sean Connery grabbed him by his arms and said, what are you prepared to do? And that's the question that I'm asking each and every one of us. What are you prepared to do? If we can go all out for other people, we can go all out for ourselves. What are you prepared to do? I want to make sure I reiterate this. I am not saying do it at the expense of somebody else, walking on somebody else, hurting somebody else, harming somebody else, because I've learned that you don't have to do that. The type of God that I serve, you don't have to do that. The type of God that many of you out there who are listening to this podcast serve, you don't have to do that. But what are you prepared to do? To move whatever it is that you need to move. What are you prepared to do to kick out whatever butt you need to kick out so that you can move into the greatness and an extraordinary potential, watch this, and a better quality of life that is available and waiting on you so that you don't have to depend on somebody else to feed you. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to seem like I'm talking about anybody. However, if we're dependent on what's going on in this country today to feed us, we're going to starve. In many ways. If we're dependent on what's going on in this country right now to feed us, we're going to starve. And lastly, mediocrity doesn't discriminate. It just doesn't. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what color you are, what race you are, what sex you are. It doesn't care it don't care nothing about none of that. It doesn't discriminate. If you are willing to live in mediocrity, mediocrity is willing to accept you. 100%. And so with that being said, listen, y'all. Listen. I love every last one of y'all. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. whatever we can do to help one another learn how to feed ourselves, whatever we can do to learn to help one another walk into greatness and extraordinary potential, move what needs to be moved, move who needs to be moved, move where it needs to be moved, kick out whatever butts that needs to be kicked out. Let's do it. Because each one, not only that each one has to reach one, each one has to teach one as well. That's what we need to be doing. That's what we need to be doing so that we can learn how to feed ourselves and not depend on man. I was about to go, but I have to say this. We have to stop depending. One of the reasons why we are not walking into greatness and the extraordinary potential that's within us is because we're depending more on man than God. Watch this. Some of us don't depend on God at all. We depending on man. And 100% he has always let you down. He's never fully come through. You have always been let down. And it's not to say anything bad about men, because that's what happens. I've let people down many times. People have let me down. We are designed to do that. God has never let us down. So why are we depending on, we need to move that, we need to kick that out and start depending on having our total dependence and reliance and faith and belief in and on the one, the only, and the true living God. So with that being said, like I said, I love every last one of y'all. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Be well. Do the next right thing. God bless you all. And watch this. If you're looking for a butt, it's going to always be easy to find one. This Coach Paul. And I'll see y'all next time. Deuces.